I wanted to talk a little bit about the pyramid, right? So we're at the top of the pyramid here at World Cup, and the pyramid's been broken for as long as I can remember, right? We have not really had a pyramid.
Totally.
We've had a base and a top and kind of not much in between. Not that there isn't race series, but they just haven't, it's not been a pathway, let's call it that, for want of a slightly business term that I don't really like, but there we go. We're cutting the numbers of World Cup races. It's come down this year, and I suspect it might come down a little bit further in future, which I think is broadly accepted and received as the right approach. How do you see the middle of the pyramid getting fleshed out? Because we're starting to see some stuff going on there, but I think the challenge is, media are fairly thinly spread. The industry is low on budget. So actually you need coverage to make it worth supporting athletes and events.
Yeah.
And you need athletes there, and you need brands there, and it's kind of tricky at the moment, I think, to see, for me anyway, like the future of that middle of the pyramid and how that works.
Yeah, it's definitely been broken for a while, and there's a constant attitude for years now that you wouldn't really waste your money to race at your home country because you can just go and race a World Cup.
Yeah.
Now you don't have that opportunity to race a World Cup. You have to qualify, and I think it's going to take a bit of investment in time to rebuild that pyramid and flesh out those next couple of layers, those feeder series. It's one of those funny things, like if there was less people at a World Cup, there'd be more racing. So a constant thing is people want to see more runs, more racing, more footage on television. Well, you can do that if you have less people, but then people want more people to go and race so you can go and watch the event. So it's a really tricky line. I actually would like it to go less people at a World Cup for that.
Yeah.
So it does flesh out those next series, and it makes the attitude of riders and teams want to be a part of a series like the IXS European stuff, the American series, the Australian Continental series. Like a lot of the Aussies and Kiwis get together, and we always have this fantasy of like, man, imagine if we had like a 6 or 7 round Aussie New Zealand series. And you talk to anybody and you're like, if you could race in Australia for 3 rounds in Australia or 4 rounds in Australia, then 4 rounds in New Zealand back to back or whatever, go and do 2 weekends and do 4 races each weekend in Australia and New Zealand. Oh my goodness. And we all just froth over it. It's difficult because events are expensive, and you throw around numbers of like $1 million, for example. If you have 4 events, even if you had 10 events, someone had $1 million to give you. If anyone out there has $1 million, like, hand her over.
We'll get on with it.
We'll get on with it. But $100,000 to have a downhill event or a national series or a continental event doesn't go very far. And I'm sure there's a lot of organizers out there that, all of a sudden those little costs of medical, flagging, timing systems, entry systems, websites, all those little bits and pieces that add up, all of a sudden $100,000 disappears real quick, and someone's like, they can't just do it for free either.
Yeah.
So that reality is difficult. Maybe the solution, and this is what I really hope is going to happen, is that attitude shift changes. So a lot of people now who haven't made a World Cup are still a bit upset they haven't made a World Cup, and they'll go and do something else with the attitude that I'm going to go and race in America, and then I'm going to go and do these World Cups because I've got a wild card, rather than invest in racing in America or invest in racing in Europe or invest in racing in Australia. And that attitude of like, right, I'm going to go and win everything in America, and if I get selected to go to the World Cups, we're on.
Yeah.
Another cool opportunity is that now in the next couple of years, those other series, as they develop, there's more ways to earn a living as a mountain bike rider. The pinnacle will be the pinnacle, but Formula One is the pinnacle. There's plenty of other race series below that in that pyramid of motorsport, which is much deeper and much bigger than our mountain biking industry. Cycling is similar. You got Tour de France, the Giro, the Vuelta, the top is the top. There is a good pyramid in that. Mountain biking, we're kind of lacking that scenario. And a lot of it comes back to the communities at home. Where do the communities at home start? Well, with new people coming into the sport. New people come into the sport because they see it on television. Now there's a few millions, you'd hope, of that 110 million audience, or what the broader audience, but that particular audience, if a few million watch the broadcast now by accident, then it might encourage some more people to get bikes, more people get into bike riding, they go to clubs. All of a sudden it starts that food chain, and it helps us build that pyramid from the bottom. We get our communities, we get our clubs, we get our club racing. 50 people turn into 20 people, turn into 10 people, and now we've got 5 people from that local area that might want to go and race. And you got to remember, it might one of those might only make it.
Yeah.
It's really quite difficult to be a pro mountain bike rider.
Yeah.
I catch myself kind of more often than not now kind of forgetting how hard it was when I started back in 2012, 2013. And you look at it now and you're like, whoa, man, it is hard. But it was just as hard back then. You just had a different perspective.
Yeah, this is true.
Different attitude.
Yeah.